Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I'm going to be talking about Japanese car prices and why they're so flippin' high. Why does it cost so much money for an FD Rx-7? They're not really that fast. They're cool looking, but... So hopefully today I can sort of clear that up for you guys, and maybe I'll make a couple predictions or two. We'll see what happens. So, as of right now, FD Mazda Rx-7s are going for high 20s, 30s, 40s, even $50,000, where 5-10 years ago, that was not nearly the case. I could have easily picked up a FD Mazda Rx-7 running and driving. About 6 years ago, I could have picked it up for about 7-8 grand. I mean, it would have been rough, but it would have been running and driving. I know people buying rolling shells for 20 grand now. Obviously the prices have gone up. And why is this? Why are these Japanese cars becoming so unobtainable? And so the first reason, Rarity. These cars were made in the 1990s, early 1990s as a matter of fact. The FD concept car was designed, I believe, in 91 for 1992. And in the States here, it was no longer exported past 1995, but of course across the world, it was sold until 2002. But even then, let's say you get a 2002 Mazda Rx-7, that's 19 years old at this point. So they're not making anymore. The ones that they built in the 90s are the ones that we'll have forever. There's no remanufacturing or anything of the sort. So Rarity is going to drive the price up of something. When you have less goods, but the same demand, it's going to draw up the price. That happens with everything. But why have the prices skyrocketed so much? And the reason for that, reason number two, is the nostalgia of it. There seems to be a 30-year bubble when it comes to cars. Let's just say someone born in 1985. They grew up with the Rx-7. The FD stopped being produced in 95, but of course you saw them on the road all the time. They were, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3 years old. In 2000, they were only 5 years old at their newest. So people born in the late 80s, early 90s, they grew up around these cars. They played Gran Turismo, which featured the Mazda Rx-7. They grew up especially with the Fast and Furious era. The first Fast and Furious movie, Dom's red Rx-7, they grew up with that movie. That was the hero car. And this can be said about other Japanese cars as well, but of course, I have the most experience with FD Rx-7s, so that's what I know. And then there was video games like Forza, growing up. Maybe when they went to college, they had Forza 2, Forza 3, Juiced 2, Hot Import Nights, had that game. Midnight Club, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Need for Speed Underground 2. These sort of cult following games all had Japanese cars and FD Rx-7s in them. And so now those people that grew up around these cars, they're getting into their 30s, and arguably 30s is when you kind of make money. You're usually settled in your career, starting to make money. Not of course for everyone, but someone who's in a lifelong businessy career or something like that, they're starting to make money in their 30s. They can finally afford the cars that they grew up with, the cars that they had a poster of. And so that's going to draw up the price. A 35-year-old that has 20 grand to blow, yeah, let me go buy an Rx-7 FD. Okay, well that one's bought up, so now there's 50,000 left. Okay, well this one gets bought up, that one gets bought up, that one gets bought up. As well as crashed. But the prices just keep going up and up because the people have the money to pay for it, the people that grew up with these cars, which is good and bad because people who don't have the money can no longer afford these sorts of cars, which of course then you start running into the issue of, I'm a big Rx-7 fan, I've owned a first gen, I've owned a second gen, I probably can't afford a third gen for a while. Now, what is going to happen, and something that we saw with the muscle car market, is that this isn't going to stick around forever. I think NSXs and Supras have sort of hit the ceiling. There was a Supra that went for, I think, $120,000. And there was an NSX that went for more than that, I believe, as well. Those, I think, are sort of starting to hit the ceiling. Maybe we'll see them hit 200,000 for like super clean examples. But what we saw with the muscle car market is like Cudas and Camaros, 69 Camaros, and all of these American muscle cars of the late 60s and early 70s. They were really expensive when I was a kid, 30 years after they were made. Now, they're starting to decline. They'll still go for a pretty penny. A numbers matching Charger, of course, is going to go for some good money, but they're not raking in what they used to. If you look at Mecum auctions or Barrett Jackson or things like that, yes, these cars still go for a lot of money, but they're not going for what they used to. And so they're on the other end of that curve. Will they ever become $600 beaters again? No, but they'll become a little bit more affordable. In 10, 15 years, I could probably afford to pick up an older muscle car because anyone that grew up with them already bought them. So there's less demand, if that makes sense. So that's what we're seeing with the FD Rx-7. That's why the FD is getting so expensive, is because the people that grew up with them and loved them and oogled over them for years and years and years and years can finally afford them. And so we're gonna see them go up and up. I don't think the Rx-7 has topped out. I think we're gonna see, I think we could maybe see a $100,000 Rx-7 at some point, which is just crazy to think about. But it could happen. I definitely think it could happen. And so that's just a quick explanation on why FD Rx-7 prices have just gone up so significantly, and I think they're going to continue to go up. Unfortunately, that means enthusiasts like you and I probably can't afford it, but the people that do have the money hopefully will preserve those vehicles for future generations and keep good examples around. Because people who buy an Rx-7 for $50,000, they're not LS swapping them. They're not slamming them to the ground and putting Lambo doors on them. When you buy a car for $50,000, you don't cheaply modify it, 9 times out of 10. So hopefully with these cars being so expensive, pristine examples will start to get preserved. Uninteresting cars, they never hit that sort of enthusiast peak, so like they're starting to go away. Like 90s Pontiacs or the Geo Prism that I drove, no one really cared about it then, no one cares about it now, and so they're probably gonna go away. You're probably never going to see a Geo Prism ever again. But since FD Rx-7s are being bought for so much, we can pretty much count on the fact that they'll be around for years to come. So I guess that's a little silver lining to it. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video. Hope this shed some light on why FD Rx-7s are so flippin' expensive. But don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.